Oh, what a weekend it was. Oh, and the hits just keep on coming. Oh, I
I'm
wish
dead.
I could tell you that things could get worse for a corpse like myself, but no. Hello, it's me, your friendly golf commentator in the afterlife, Peter Alice. Oh, I'm in Wonderland after. Wrong Alice.
Wrong, Alice.
Enough of him.
Hey.
You know, what did you expect? You know, I mean, it's funny to me that people will walk in to a Walmart and
Yep.
buy clothing and say, God, this stuff just wore out so fast. It's like, well, what the fuck did you expect? It's amazing. It's like, God damn, this McDonald's hamburger wasn't worth $7.50. It's like, no.
Wow.
So I'll do my shout outs to say hello to The Truth Shall Set You Free. Hello to Hunter. Hello. Is it me you're looking for? It's amazing to me. I know that. I was purposely passing along something that I thought was hilarious, David. The whole notion, but it was bad enough. We'll get to OBJ in just a minute.
I don't even know anything about this because I'm not
okay.
on that platform, so you can tell me.
So here's the deal. I mean, sometimes you go into a little hole in the wall restaurant, and it turns out to be a real surprise. It's good, and that's like 1 out of 99 times. And the other times, when a place looks like there could be roaches crawling inside, there are
roaches.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, you know, when there's a promotional light on the saying decon, I mean, you know that it's not a good place. Well, look, I am not going to rub the Lions fans' face in the dirt. There's no real good reason to do that right now. Because I'm all in on the Ravens. That's why. I mean, I was looking for something that with all the bad takes that I have had through the decades on this program, I like grasp at a morsel of one good take. Oh, and this whole Lamar Jackson thing, I feel pretty, oh so pretty, I feel pretty and lovely, not gay. I mean, let's be honest about this. Everything was stacked in Lamar's favor.
It was.
And everybody was convinced that he was going to be the one. And he
was the man.
He signed his contract at $180 million and, whatever, 180 guaranteed. And 5 years. And he was the man who was going to carry the load. They went out and they got Tay Flowers. They got Odell Beckham Jr. And they got Isaiah Likely, who wasn't likely to begin the season, but they needed him when Andrews went down. They brought Andrews back, his favorite guy. And I mean, they had wide receivers. They brought their offensive line back. They had their running backs. Some of them, but not but the bottom line is that they handed the keys to the car over to Lamar for the first time. Really, people said, you know something, this running the ball bullshit and John Harbaugh football, it makes no sense whatsoever. Here you have a guy who's a legitimate superstar. Let him be him. Well,
he was.
And I couldn't have asked for more. I mean, honestly, that's what I wanted to see too.
Okay.
I wanted to see him carry the load, but I never thought for a minute that they would abandon their running game. I mean, I'm trying to figure this one out still, and I'm going to share one statistic, because you know that I'm not an analytics guy, although I need an analyst, I'm not an analytics kind of guy. And I'm going to look up just the score and the box score of the game. Oh, my Lord. All right. Box score it is.
Oh. Here we go.
You look at, okay, let's see if they're good. This is all Kansas City stuff. They've gone about as far as they can go there. I'm going to see if I can
click
get
on the other tab.
Yeah, no, actually, I just went full screen with it. The rushing, get this. I mean, it's pathetic. I mean, Kansas City was pathetic. 89 yards rushing, you know, not good at all. And the Ravens, if you take Lamar Jackson scrambling, which resulted in one fumble because he held on to the ball too long, their regular running backs, Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, had 23 yards on 6 carries. I'm not making this up.
Wow.
How could that be? And the answer is, not only did he sign the 5-year contract, they turned the keys over to him and said, okay, this is your playoff.
Wow.
And again, why should they be surprised about what they got? He was horrible. 13 of 27. He completed 50% of his passes. He threw the worst interception that I've ever seen in a major moment of a game in my life. He threw to a man who was triple covered. And you know what he did?
What did he do?
When he let go of the ball, you could just see him saying, I'm Lamar Jackson. And it's like, no.
Wow.
You talk yourself up. I'm going to be a billionaire and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And you're not going to hear from, now there are going to be good Ravens fans who would show up on this program, but not Joe Shipley, who Shipley'd the bed watching this guy. I mean, triple coverage.
Grim.
And can you believe that of all teams, the Ravens fans were saying, but it was interference. God, we're not getting any calls. And it's like, how many fucking years do you get to get calls? Blow me. You fucked up every time you had a chance. And you know something?
What?
Browns is Browns, even if they're Ravens. Browns is Browns. Tay Flowers diving for the end zone. Nothing could have been more Browns-esque.
God, we've already done that.
I know. Art Modell's hand was reaching out from the grave saying, we've got to fuck up. And sure enough, there it was.
Oh, God, Ernest Bunner and Hollywood Higgins were watching that play. I'm sure.
Just unbelievable. I mean, it was like
the hand of God.
Sisyphus and the Rock. And the Rock always wins. And I don't mean in the wrestling ring. I mean the literal Rock. Yeah. I mean, I'm almost there. I got it. I got it. I ain't got it. Yeah, there we go. Well, unbelievable.
To be fair, one thing that never gets talked about, and I didn't talk about it because I said on Friday that there was no way that the Ravens were going to lose this game, quote unquote. I think that was my exact words. But the Kansas City Chiefs defense actually is pretty damn good, and no one talks about that ever. Sam Snead or whatever his name is, out in the cornerback and these guys, they're damn good. But they are the most underrated, under-talked about people because the other side of the ball has got Kelsey and Mahomes and all those wide receivers that drop balls and blah.
The Chiefs did nothing in the second half. Everything was perfectly in place for the Ravens. All they had to do
was score more than fucking 17 points.
All they had to do was stop with the fucking mistakes, and they couldn't do it because they shit the bed. And Lamar's throwing the ball sidearm. He's throwing it over his head. He's throwing into triple coverage. He's got to catch his own passes like the kids used to do on the Wonder Years television program. I mean, what in the world? It was a clown show, an absolute clown show. And it couldn't happen to an organization that deserves it more. And I'm sorry, you Ravens fans have to feel my pain because that's the way it works. In football, it isn't all beer and Skittles. You know, there's going to be some, there's always going to be an unhappy thing.
Aww.
Then you had, I see Zay Flowers,
Unlucky Zay.
Zay, actually the pronoun is Zay/Zem/Zim. I'm being real topical here and current and with the times. Zay Flowers not only made the mistake at the goal line, but he slammed his hand into something and injured himself. That's what real team spirit. And if that's not enough, psycho Roquan Smith.
He's not well, him.
He has an anger management problem.
Yeah, he's not well.
And, it manifested itself for the whole world to see. And yes, I've been talking about him as being a miscreant, and that's what he is. He is a criminally brutal person who's sadistic and likes to injure other players and has said so in the press. And what you saw with your very own eyes, Raven fans, is a fucking psycho on the field. He could have just, if he wanted to go off sides, he could have just tapped the guy. He wasn't going off sides to go off sides for any reason except to hurt that person. He came in at full bore and leveled a guy when he was in a defenseless position and gave up a 15-yard penalty against his team because he couldn't control his anger. And you know something? I hope he gets hurt. And I said this before, but now he's a criminal in my mind. He's going out and just trying to maim people for no goddamn reason. If you can't win, and I think he does. I think Rick May's probably on to something, that he has CTE, the early signs, because there's something wrong with him.
Yeah.
Get him out of the game. And of course, the Ravens aren't going to take him out of the game. Somebody's got to take him out of the game because he's a danger and he's not helping his own team. So with all of that said, here's some of the after effects of the game. The Kansas City Chiefs, a 7-sack pass rusher, Omenihu, has a torn ACL. He ain't going to play in the Super Bowl. That's got to be a heartbreak for a guy. He's the one who stripped Lamar Jackson of the ball in the first turnover that Lamar committed.
Yeah.
And he's out now.
People don't know who he is, though, do they? I mean,
no,
you say his name, they don't know who he is.
Yeah, and they're not gonna. Not anytime soon. I thought that was sad. Andy Reid is trying to defend the fact that Kadarius Toney injury was not made up. No. But that he, I don't know, that he had protruding boogers from his nose. That he had an injury. And of course, Tony goes on social media and says, I'm not hurt. None of that is true. And it's like, there's a team player for you. These guys, it's really hard to cheer, It's really hard to cheer. I want to remind all of the people who are, Browns fans, Ravens fans, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I want to remind them that your quarterback, Lamar Jackson, is now signed up for 5 years. And he has done something that even Baker Mayfield could not do. And if the Chiefs were too big of a hill for Baker once, that's nothing compared to the guy you signed for 5 years, 180
Lost about
million
3-4
guaranteed.
times. Yeah, how many times in a row now?
No, he's 2-4 in the playoffs. He never shows up. He barely completes over 50% of his passes in the playoffs, and he chokes. Let's be truthful. At this point, there is no reason to hide the obvious truth. He can't carry a team on his back, and that's that. And, 185 million guaranteed.
When did he sign that?
In April, back in April of last year, he signed the thing, but not until he put the organization through hell. And
he did,
literally,
he wanted $1 billion or whatever.
He fucked up their free agency period because I want to play someplace else, and going through that whole spiel. Well, he's lucky he's got a job now. He's a quarterback who I look upon. Go ahead and give him the goddamn MVP. He loses every big game he's in.
Wow.
It's just the way that it is. And now, here's the greatest thing of it. Afterwards, Lamar went in front of the press, and he basically said that he's not disappointed, he's mad. I'm John Cleese. Mad!
You need a little hanky on your head.
Mad! Yeah, Lamar Jackson's mad. And when you put on your makeup for an hour and a half, I'm mad at you. Joe Jackson.
Oh, wow.
Right. Another Jackson who's mad. I'm not frustrated at all, Jackson said. I'm angry about losing. Not as angry as Roquan Smith, but I'm angry. We're a game away from the Super Bowl. We've been waiting all this time, all these moments for opportunities like this, and we fell short. Notice how it's we. Yeah. But I feel like our team, we going to build this offseason.
Yeah, with what?
Not with a 6 Wonderlic score. Going to get right, get better grind, and try to be in this position again, but on the other side of victory.
Wow.
So here's the thing that made me just laugh. Here's how he describes his teammates. We're mad. Well, yeah, you're always angry. You come into every game trying to pick fights with people and injuring quarterbacks. Yeah, now you got nobody to be mad at but yourselves. The offense, we didn't put nothing on the board, Lamar said. We scored once. That's not like us. Yes, it is. It's exactly like you. It's how many points you average in the postseason. You stupid fuck. That's not like us. We drove the ball down the field. That's cool. But we got to put points on the board. Oh. No shit, Sherlock. But I feel like my team just angry. Not frustrated. We just angry. And God, I hope nobody gives them
easy now.
a knife. Because we played that out in Baltimore before, and it didn't work out so well.
No, he was innocent. He was totally innocent, wasn't he? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. 67.2 completion percentage for the season, 3,678 yards passing, and an average of 26.2 points per game. But he reverted back to his mistakes in all of his postseasons. In his 4 playoff losses, he has now averaged 10.5 points. He actually outdid himself. He outperformed himself.
Wow.
That's scary, isn't it? 4 touchdowns and 8 turnovers. And they're yelling about Joe Flacco.
Flacco, huh?
8 turnovers. Now, here's the kiss of death. Now, if you're not a fan of this podcast, I don't blame you.
You're probably quite sensible if you're not a fan.
But I'm going to bring up a distant character from the past of this podcast.
Oh, no.
and his name is the Misery Seal.
Oh God, yeah. Oh no.
The
Run away. Run away.
A Misery Seal is a sea lion of misery. And what he is as soon as the gods have determined that a team is going to lose, he shows up on the Jumbotron. So every fan in the stadium can see him do this. Think Caddyshack, folks. Think of the Gopher. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Lamar choked again. Yeah. Just rubbing it in to, all the people in the stadium having to watch the goddamn Misery Seal. In the NBA, it happens, and he just materializes in an empty seat. It's the damnedest thing. The second the gods decide, oh, your team's going to lose, he materializes in a seat going, oh, yeah. And all the fans go, no, the Misery Seal.
Well, Surrender Cobra.
Yeah. Now here we go. This is what made me realize that the Misery Seal has visited the Ravens and the poison that awaits. Here's the quote from Odell Beckham Jr. You were waiting for it. Quote, there are certain moments that define you, and this is just one that'll be in his career. Ravens wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. said, quote, the greats have all been through tough times, and I don't think this is going to stop him from wanting to get to his ultimate goal. If anything, he's going to work even harder. And Lamar's like, I can't work no harder, motherfucker. I can't. The best I can throw.
Wow.
There's certain moments that define you, and this is just one that will be his career.
And this is another one.
Thank you. You know that Odell's not coming back, and he's not playing anymore in the NFL. We can hope. And you wanted him in Cleveland, some of you. God, what a cancer he is.
Oh, God.
Then Beckham added on, which he didn't need to do. He wants it bad. I'd never seen somebody so locked in and just in the flow. I just felt like it was his time. And like I say, sometimes things happen in life and it doesn't go the way that we planned. And it's just about what you do from here. Meanwhile, John Harbaugh, I told him to stand up tall. Quit slouching.
Spalding?
Spalding?
$50 as he eats it.
Spalding kid eats it. Yeah. Ravens coach John Harbaugh went on to say he's had a great season. His performance today was all heart. No brains, all hard. He fought, he went out there, he gave everything he had. So I don't think that's anything that I'd be disappointed in. Then he went on to say, what I'm really disappointed in is that we didn't run the ball. What a dumb fuck I turned out to be believing this asshole.
Oh, dear. Wow.
Now, here's the other thing.
Okay.
Patrick Queen. The other linebacker,
other linebacker. Yeah.
Honestly, what hurts me the most is that I wanted to get him the recognition he deserves, Patrick Queen said. It's a team sport, but that guy was the main guy I was playing for, honestly. This was his opportunity to be able to write some of that stuff off and move on to the next thing. And instead, the Misery Seal visited. Oh, I'm laughing my ass off.
Wow.
It's like, he was the guy I was playing for. Oh, my man, I love him so. He'll never know. What kind of fucking bullshit is this? That's my guy.
That sounds like a 50s pop song, about the motorcycle guy.
Something from Queer Eye for the Straight Guy. Make this stop.
Now,
That's what I
if he
was
wants
playing
to
for.
be that way, it's all
I
right.
wasn't playing for the fans. I wasn't playing for the organization that's paying for me. Wasn't playing for myself. I was playing for Lamar.
Wow.
Unbelievable. That's why it hurts. Because you want to see people like that, teammates that you love and care about, get what they're supposed to get.
I think he did.
You didn't think. I'm all smiles. You're never going to see me grinning like this.
No.
I mean, seriously. You can't say all the things that this guy said about, I'm going to be the wealthiest guy. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And it's like, one fucking game. One fucking game. Just play a good fucking game to get us into the Super Bowl. One fucking game. I'm not asking you to be a billionaire. I'm not asking you to get more guaranteed money than Deshaun Watson. I'm not asking you for any of that. I'm just asking for one fucking game where you score more than 10.5 points. What did it, motherfucker? 17. Woo. Man, oh man.
Wow.
That is really fucked up. Seriously fucked up. Meanwhile, there's the other Harbaugh. Headline, eager Jim Harbaugh ready to take a crack at Super Bowl. No, I think he's ready to take crack at a Super Bowl.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Good God almighty. You know, if they're not cheating for you, Jim, you can't cheat yourself. Just saying, you're going to have to win. And he was basically doing the same idol worship that Patrick Queen was doing. You know, Harbaugh said his meeting with Herbert, his quarterback, left him feeling a little starstruck. Oh, for God's sake.
Oh, that's sweet.
You got a little chubby, did you?
He's kind of cute. Harbaugh, that is.
And it's like, meanwhile, the other Harbaugh, it's not a good day to be a Harbaugh. It's never a good day to be a Harbaugh. Let's be honest. Oh, my God.
Oh, make it stop.
Now, I'll go to the next step before I talk a little bit about a few other things. The Lions. I wanted the Lions to win. I wanted them to win. No, I'm serious. I mean, if there's any team that I feel a kinship with being a Browns fan, it's the Lions.
Yeah. And you were in Michigan for a long time, too. So
9.5 years.
Yeah.
And I had to always look at Wayne Fonts running to the 50-yard line as the loser in the one playoff game they get to and shake the guy's hand with a smile on his face. It's like, get off the field.
Yeah, like Barry Sanders. I mean, how depressed must he be? He you know, I don't know.
Do you want to know what the most amazing statistic about Barry Sanders was?
What's amazing about Barry?
Besides the fact that he remained a Lion his whole life, the second thing is that he's like regarded as one of the two greatest backs who ever played the game.
Yeah,
and his yardage totals are unsurpassed, right?
Yeah.
Well, because of the team he played for, he had more negative yardage plays than any running back in history. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
That's what playing for the Lions is. How great is he? He overcame everything negative.
A horrible team, yeah.
Yeah. To do what he did. Absolutely unbelievable. He was the reason why the team got into the playoffs with Wayne Fonts. It was Wayne Fonts looked like Fred Flintstone.
He did, yeah. Same feet and everything. That's how he got to the game. Paddling a steamroller to the oh God.
But Dan Campbell, for God's
Dan Campbell, we gotta talk about him. The guy is but my question, is he the coach of the year or a moron? I mean, or both.
Well, here's what I believe. Okay. And not that what I believe means a whole hell of a lot, but
what do you believe? Tell us what you believe.
When you get married to a methodology, regardless of circumstance, and you just reflexively, you know, it's kind of like bad Leroy Brown, the baddest man in the whole damn town. And you know that by the end of the song, he's going to get his ass kicked
He's
by
gonna
a
get
guy who's badder than he is.
because there always is somebody better.
Always. If you believe that we're going to go for it on fourth, no matter what, and you're of that mentality. And I made the same criticism
We
of
had
our
this
defensive coordinator.
Jim Schwartz. We
That's
talked
right.
about not being malleable.
Right.
SAT word, malleable for you people who want to take the SAT. Go for it. But
Yeah. That's
malleable.
exactly
He's not malleable.
This is what he was going to do come hell or high water. Now, is it belief in your team or is it sheer stubbornness?
Or it's trying to always look like you're the man, you know?
Here's the facts of the matter. All right. If you're looking at it from an analytics perspective,
okay.
The 28-yard line, he turns down and foregoes a 45-yard field goal to go for it. All right. The pass went incomplete to Josh Reynolds. Analytics favored the decision to go for it. A 90.5% chance to win the game if they get it.
If they get
as
it.
opposed to attempting the field goal, a 90.3% chance.
It's winning the game.
And what you did is you gave them momentum.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable. The other decision was the 4th and 3 at the San Francisco 30-yard line with 7:38 remaining in the game. And that
terrible.
too, if you look at the analytics, which leaned very slightly toward going for it, 39.1% versus 38.8, 0.3%.
Yeah.
And it's just an unbelievable, arrogant approach.
That's
and the inability to think outside of the box that you put yourself in.
Well, my issue with it is that you're one game away from the promised land that your franchise has never, ever been to. So don't you think your players might be a little tight? Don't you want a little bit of of chance of not having to gamble the dice on huge plays and catch contested passes when there's 3 guys within 2 yards of them? I mean, he put too much pressure on his team to make those plays.
You know what the truth is? I mean, you can talk about Dan Campbell and his stubbornness, but they choked.
Yeah, well, they were put in the position to choke. A good coach should recognize that you don't put your team in the position that you're going to choke on a play that you don't have to run.
Jared Goff was putting the ball right on their numbers, and they were dropping the ball.
Oh God, Jared Goff's underrated too. I mean, he's better than Flacco ever was.
The running back fumbled the ball in a play that was going nowhere anyway because they couldn't run the ball.
Helmet,
I mean, everything that could have gone wrong went wrong, and the only thing that didn't happen is Dwayne Rudd taking his helmet off. It was another one of those painful reminders of what it's like to be a Cleveland Browns fan, and I don't wish that on other fan bases, except the Ravens and the Steelers. The Ravens and the Steelers, I'm good with. But, the Lions, I wanted them to go to the Super Bowl, just like I want us to go to the Super Bowl. It's like, first of all, let's get somebody else in there. But then you realize after the game, God, if they were nervous for this one. Oh, there would be just urine running down their legs at the Super Bowl. I mean, that would just be like too much.
And the other thing is, he's calling these plays in the away stadium where you can't fucking hear yourself think. I mean, if it's all right to go for it in your home park, when you have more of the advantage and the crowd can be quiet while you're running your play, but to go for chancy plays in the away stadium is just idiotic, I think.
And Hammer Time, I'm sorry that I kept you waiting there. I didn't see you were in there.
Boo.
What's going on?
Well, I just personally thought when I had like a lot of good things here. When you're thinking of stubborn, I thought that was a great segue to bring me in. When you're thinking of pig-headed, I thought that was a great segue to bring me in. But there was all these opportunities, and I thought, oh, you're missing your shot here. But anyway, oh
Wow.
no, I would, you know, I'm with both you
Leaves
guys
you
on this.
speechless,
Here's your,
doesn't it?
Yeah, you're,
I know. I mean, here's your chance. This is your, you know, I'm rooting for our Lake Erie brothers, right? Here's
Yeah.
our chance. Here's your chance to get into the Super Bowl, which you've never done before. Our 0-16 brothers, right?
Yeah.
Now,
That-
weren't you?
you know.
Wasn't part of you saying, "Well, God, if they could do it, we could do it"?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
You know, and you know what? It's the luck
you
of
said the
draw.
part you
It's-
shouldn't mention.
it's keeping people. It's just people staying healthy enough, and the ones that do get hurt, that people step up. Like the whole thing with Conklin and DeJuan Jones is a great example
Yeah.
of that, right? Had Chubb stayed healthy and everybody else stayed healthy, that was a win-win for us, right? We lost a guy who was a super player. We got another guy who's going to be an excellent player down the road, we think. And you know, those kind of things happen. Sometimes it's just they talk about all the cosmic tumblers fall into place, right? That's kind of where they were at. They had that opportunity to do it, and they
17
played
points up.
They had a great first half, and I'm thinking, and I thought they were going to go for it on that last field goal right before half. I'm sitting there, I'm like going, no, you dumbass, just kick the field goal. You know, seriously, just kick the field goal, get up 17, and then run the ball down their throats the rest of the game. And then what happens? You have the ball bounce off your defender's head and right into the guy's hands. You have a fumble immediately.
Yep.
You have, and you know, you can only contain McCaffrey for so long. Eventually,
Correct.
he's going to get loose. I mean, it's just like, it's like trying to contain Michael Jordan was, or, you know, pick your great sports athlete, whatever it is. You can only contain him for so long. So,
Well,
it
you
was
know
one
what
of
Big
those
Mo
things.
is. I mean,
Yeah.
in sports, it's a real thing. And
No,
when
absolutely.
you open the door, when you're on the road and you open the door and you let the fans in, you let the other team have hope, you know.
That was it. You said that right there. The fan at halftime,
Yeah.
the fans are going out getting, you know, they're getting doubles, they're getting triples, you know, because they're drowning their sorrows. They're out of it, and because this game is like nearly over. When I was busy working a volleyball tournament, and I didn't even get on, and I'm hearing it's a 2-minute warning, and they're up 14 points, and I'm like, oh, this game's over. And then it's like, oh, it's the first half. Well, the game's still over. I'm like, this is, and then, and you just mentioned it before while I was sitting backstage. How many drop passes? I mean, good grief. They
fell
James
apart.
was dropping.
I mean, literally.
It was
fell
just,
apart.
you know, and the thing I did know that stat about how many negative plays that Barry Sanders had. That if you thought about how many yards he totally gained to make back those other plays, it's because he was playing behind a sieve.
That's right.
He's playing behind a sieve.
It was against all odds, man, and he managed to do what he did.
Yeah, Jim Brown had a much better offensive line to run behind than Barry Sanders ever did.
Hey, Rev, how you doing? Welcome to the program. You know, so now to make matters even worse, there's one thing probably that bothers me more than anything else in the world.
Why?
And that would be like Elon Musk complaining about the amount of taxes that he has to pay. Or there's a whole series of these types of things where people have more than they could ever do everything with. And I'm not a socialist. I mean, I believe that if you're a bright guy, you're brilliant, and you're an enterprising person, you're worth the money you earn. I get all that. But, you know, people who go to any length, I don't know, I'm not going to say his name, to not pay taxes and do things like that and whine about what your tax load is. This is for every person to understand why I hate the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right?
Okay.
Here's the quote. Steelers Art Rooney II. We've had enough of playoff win drought. Now,
wow.
They haven't won a playoff game since 2016. Oh, Ricky.
I'm sorry, suck my balls.
Wait,
2016.
Yeah, listen to this.
God, I can remember that.
Listen to this. Here's what Rooney said. We've had enough of this. It's time to get some wins. It's time to take these next steps. As far as Mike Tomlin, the players still respond to Mike. That's one way you could respond to Mike. And that's number one, Rooney said. And actually it's number two. He still has the key characteristics that we saw when we hired him. He can keep the attention of a group of 20-year-olds for a whole season and keep them in the fight the whole way. So I still feel good about Mike. Obviously, if I didn't, we would make a change. But if we didn't think Mike was able to lead us to a championship, he wouldn't be here, and that's why he's here.
Wow. What am I supposed to say to that? That's just...
them whining. Every favorable call in the history of the NFL, and they're...
For the past 50 years.
I mean, and I'm looking at Lions fans feeling terrible, and then feeling terrible for us because it's like, oh man. I mean, do you remember what the feeling was like when instead of Tay Flowers, it was Ernest Biner losing the football, forgetting the football when he ran into the end zone? Yes. It's like, I think I'm missing something here.
Absolutely feel that. I can still feel that. And it was, and the worst part about it was how he carried that team on his back to get us back in that game.
Oh God, yeah, that drive was all
just
him.
The most heartbreaking thing because it was all him running, catching the ball out of the backfield, and he played his heart out.
It was all him.
And he ran with abandon, and the hit on him was just a fluke. The guy was basically not stepping in front of him. He just stepped to the side, did an ole, and poked him from the side and got the ball loose. It's one of those things that happens.
Wow. So the tinfoil hat conspiracy people today said that the NFL did get their correct matchup because they got all the Swifties are going to watch the Super Bowl now, and you get San Fran, who, I mean, my only thing is I'm watching that game is they already had Nick Bosa and they managed to get Chase Young for nothing. And they managed to get Christian McCaffrey a couple years ago
for
nothing. And I'm like, what the heck is going on here? It was just like, I'm just thinking something is, what is going on? I don't know. I'm really looking forward to the Pro Bowl and the flag football game. That is going to be awesome. No, I'm just kidding.
Now, the final thing I'll say is the last comment that Rooney the second.
Good they named him twice.
He eats cucumber sandwiches. That's the kind of guy he is. We still feel good about Kenny Pickett and his future, but he knows he needs to work hard to take the next step, Rooney said. And we've talked about that and talked about it. Since 2016. Oh, I'm sorry. And one of the things I think we liked about Kenny in terms of his career at Pitt was that how hard he worked and he took a step forward every year. So we're looking for that to happen here. It would have happened by now. He's not playing at Pitt.
Yeah. He's
not playing Pitt's schedule.
Yeah, he's not playing Boston College and Furman.
His QBR went from a 53.6 to a 38.4. Kenny Pickett did. He threw just 6 touchdowns to 4 picks. I mean, and how bad was he? That Mason Rudolph gave the whole team a lift. And that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. Now, let's talk a minute about the Browns hiring of Ken Dorsey.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah. He's my man.
They couldn't find any other former Browns quarterbacks, so they hired that one.
Hey, when
No.
he got fired from Denver, I went on social media back in November to say we should hire him, and I got so much abuse. It
You
was
mean
so
from
much fun.
Buffalo?
Buffalo. It was Buffalo. That's
Buffalo.
why you got the
Denver.
abuse. Because
Denver beat
that-
Buffalo. Yeah,
that's why you got the abuse is because you said Denver, and that's why they were
Denver.
ripping you,
Yeah,
Ron.
exactly.
Aha.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's when I was glad he got picked.
And you know that I had a friendly relationship with Ken Dorsey down here in Florida. He lived here. He lived in my neighborhood. We went to the same gym. It was all the stuff.
St.
Nice
Paul guy.
real nice
Yeah.
guy. And I'm not going to sit here and say things that I don't know because people are asking, well, is he going to call the plays or isn't he going to call the plays? What I'm going to tell you is if you look at the statistics, right? And I'm not going analytics side. I just mean the numbers as far as career is concerned. It's not everything that, like in 2022, that was his first year as the offensive coordinator. And oh man, they were great.
They were.
I mean, there could be no doubt how good they were. I mean,
they were.
Points for 455. You can do a calculator and put that in 17 games.
He got scapegoated out of Buffalo for turnovers. Basically.
35 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. His quarterback was playing great. They were playing great. They averaged 5.2 yards as far as it was rushing attempts, 430 for 2,232. Hey, have a good time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Yeah, she's going out and having dinner with her workforce.
Wow.
Hey, you gotta love that. That's nice. I'll be at home watching the Cavalier game, and she'll be eating nice Italian food. And I'm proud of that girl. I'm really proud of that girl. She's done a great job, not only with her work, but I mean, we're both working on our weight, as best as we can. And I'm down 40 and she's down 30.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I found them, so that was pretty good.
Well, there you go. So the universe is still balanced, then, is what you're saying.
But they average 5.2. They average 5.2 yards a rush in Buffalo in 2022.
Wow.
And nobody had a problem with Ken Dorsey in 2022.
No, they didn't. Not at all.
And then 2023 comes around, right? And here we go again. They were in points for 6th in the league.
Yep.
As opposed to 2022 when they were 2nd.
Yeah.
All right. So that's not like a plummet. And in yards, they were 4th in the league in offensive yardage as opposed to 2nd the year before. It's not like there was a total collapse, but what I can tell you is the quarterback didn't play as well.
No.
Things, they still were scoring points, but they were losing to teams they shouldn't lose to. And it started from the beginning of the year losing to the Jets. Then they blew out the Raiders and the Commanders and the Dolphins, and everything was fine and dandy. In fact, they scored 16 in the first week, and it's like, but the first week, there's no preseason anymore, But they scored 38, 37, and 48. There was no problem. But then they lost to the Jaguars and only scored 20. And then the Giants, they won, but they only scored 14. Then they lost to the Patriots, but they gave up 29, but only scored 25. And by the time they got to the Broncos and only scored 22, they weren't scoring enough points.
Yeah.
And in succession, 20, 14, 25, 24, 18, and 22, and fired.
Yeah.
Now, here's the deal. So the other guy, Joe Brady, took over. Here's the story of a man named Brady. And so the team responded with 32 points against the Jets the second time around, 34 in a loss to the Eagles, in which they gave up 37. They only scored 20 against the Chiefs and won. All right. They got 31 against the Cowboys, but God only knows. The Chargers, they won, but only got 24 in that game. 27 against the Patriots, in which they won. 21 against the Dolphins, in which they won. They beat the Steelers, scoring 31, and they lost 27-24. So they were averaging more points per game, with the new coordinator. But the new coordinator, Joe Brady, is a guy who, quite honestly, they've signed him. They've re-signed him. I mean, he's not interim anymore. He is their de facto.
Oh, so he's like the Freddie Kitchens signing,
Yeah.
He gets a bit of luck at the end of the year, and then they say, "Oh, let's make him head coach or something, or give him a big job."
I don't remember him doing a bang-up job in 2020 and 2021 as the offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers.
No.
But that's where he came from. So do I think he was scapegoated? I always say that there's so much to winning football and losing football to point to one guy, except if he's Joe Woods. that was
Joe Woods.
Wade Jackson. There's
Wade
you can
Jackson.
blame
Yeah,
him
right.
as well.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Pat
it's
Shermer.
easy to find the dodo in the room.
Brian
But-
Daboll.
But every year plays out different, and I keep warning Baker Mayfield fans who are all like, "Oh, Baker, it's so wonderful," and it's like, well, I feel good for him too, but every year is a struggle, and you're going to go out and you're going to discover that the Todd Bowles offense ain't going to be so sweet to you, and Joe Brady is going to find out real quickly the expectations of people in Buffalo after a wide right. They're just, they're going to be a bunch of upset fans who are just waiting to skewer them.
Are you saying it's kind of like the people in the town where I live, Columbus, Ohio?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
The scorn.
Very
Yes.
similar. Although we just went ahead and threw a whole truckload of money at our problem. So,
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you could get away with that.
There is no salary cap in NIL.
No, but that's what Jimmy Haslam will do if he can, is free up money through the contract
means.
of Watson and do what he can. One thing about Jimmy, he will spend money because he will find 14 ways to screw other people out of their money and not pay his bills. So he will always have money. That he will do. And, it's kind of like Dan Gilbert. Nobody can say that Dan Gilbert didn't throw the switches that were necessary to get players into town and to get Kevin Love in when LeBron was there and to get, help for people. Nobody can say that,
they're not the Dolan family. Let's put it that way.
brought Donovan Mitchell into town. I mean, but the Buffalo fans are probably wondering, they may not be thinking about Ken Dorsey. They may be thinking to themselves, we just gave a longer term contract to a guy who was the offensive coordinator of the Carolina Panthers.
Wow.
And that's just not the greatest thing in the world. And, I sit and by the way, if you're wondering how I'm sourcing this, in 2020 with the Panthers, God almighty,
Joe Brady.
It's not pretty. It's not pretty at all. His statistically, the team's ranks are pretty rank. They only won 24% of their games, then 27% of the games in the second year. I mean, if you're looking at their in points scored, 23rd in 2020 and 26th in 2021.
Didn't they have McCaffrey at that point as well?
Yeah. I mean, this is not a guy who, nor do I expect, with the dork of an owner that they have in Carolina, I don't expect that one man could possibly turn that thing around. No way. So do I think that Ken Dorsey was hung out to dry and scapegoated? We're going to find out real quick.
Yeah.
Because if they come out and they have some kind of new slick scheme and we're, in moribund city, then that will say one thing. But what we do know about Ken Dorsey is that he has worked with mobile quarterbacks who are downfield throwers, who are dual threat quarterbacks. Although I really would prefer to think of Deshaun Watson as a thrower at this point in his career, not a runner, because there's been too much injury involved in this. And it looks like the Browns are doing what they can to beef up the whole running game concept. I think they're going to be seeking more of a balance. And I don't know what they can do personnel-wise because they're shackled because of the deal they made with Watson. Yeah. But I got nothing bad to say about Ken Dorsey until we see him at work. He's a veteran guy. He has worked with quarterbacks before he was an offensive coordinator, but it sounds to me as if he's not going to be calling plays because he's only been an OC for 2 years, and before that a quarterbacks coach like AVP was when we brought him in. So in 2020. So from my perspective, he's probably not going to be calling the plays, and Kevin Stefanski will. But we'll see.
Did we really think that was going to change, though? I mean, once Kevin really is that hands-on, doesn't want to loosen the reins kind of person, he just won't let that go. And I just didn't see it happen, no matter who they brought in. I mean, I guess if they brought in some, superstar, I don't know, whatever. Is there even a superstar?
No.
OC
no, there isn't
out there. There isn't really.
No.
I mean,
no.
Yeah.
The Browns need a wide receiver. Deshaun Watson knows that. He's trying to play with T. Higgins, but that ain't going to happen because they're just the Bengals will just. What? Well, I'm blanking on the word. Well, they're going to hold on to him. They're going to franchise him. They're going to tag him.
Franchise.
Yeah, they're going to tag him, and he ain't going nowhere. The only way the Browns are going to get a wide receiver is either through free agency or if they manage to strike gold in the second and third round of the draft. All right, it's possible. It's not historically happened, but you never know.
Well, the thing about Dorsey is that he's definitely passionate. My God, he smashed up that iBook that one time in the press box when that play went horribly wrong. That wasn't his fault.
Now, David, I got to ask you, do you know these two men personally? How can you make a statement like that?
He doesn't even know us personally.
No, I mean, I can't tell you that. I mean, that's just negativity. And honestly, I don't know what it all means until I see it play out on the field because I'm an eye test kind of guy, and I'm not prone to trying to draw attention to this program by saying things that are outside of my scope of knowledge. Now, before I get out of here.
I got one thing that you just reminded me of very quickly. That's the stupidest headline of the year award for me so far goes to the one where they hired the young Callahan to be the head coach, and they're going to somehow steal his dad to be the offensive line coach. Like, whose fucking son bosses his dad? I mean, that is the most ridiculous
thing. They just
thing.
Replace one bad take with another. If you're on social media, you can see it. I just don't jump at that kind of thing. And what I was going to say to finish off the program is that Cavaliers play at 7:00 at home against the Clippers. Clippers are a fine basketball team, and they got some star power on that team. And Evan Mobley, last I heard, was going to make a 15 to 20 minute floor appearance tonight and back on the floor to get his feet wet. I don't know if that has changed, but he was at shoot around, and if he comes through practice and shoot around, okay, he's going to get about 15 to 20 minutes in tonight's game. That's something to look for. And the Cavaliers have been very good recently. They're just coming off a big win against the Bucks in Milwaukee. So that's going to be a something to watch and something to behold. And I hope they do well. And as for the Ravens, there's always next year.
We love the Ravens.
No, I really don't. No. All right, guys, I got to get out of here because it is my here we have somebody who's wanting to get in, and
we need a final word from Dick Goddard, though.
Yeah, I can't let a stranger into the program now.
Oh no, not the reach around section of the program.
No, I mean, I don't know. And I saw that you flashed something up there. I know. That's right, Tommy boy. You're going for the porn, aren't you? You freakazoid.
It's not like we haven't watched porn all day. I mean, wait a minute.
No.
What? Sorry.
No.
And kicked from the studio he goes.
Wow.
And and it never fails that when these things happen, the inimitable Jim Eagle comes in and tries to create. And you've been banned. I don't want to see you here ever again. I'm in too good a mood, Oh God. And Chris, you ask a viable question. Why haven't they extended, Stefanski's contract?
Well,
and we're going to see.
You'll have to ask D about that one.
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys hit on this. Did you see the interview with Flacco about the Player of the Year?
No,
comeback Player of the Year.
No, I didn't.
He was on somebody's podcast or something. They were talking about comeback Player of the Year. And he says, what exactly really is that? Thanks for saying that. He goes, what I come back from sitting on my couch where no one wanted to hire me. He's he was so self-effacing. He was so cool. He was so Joe. I really hated this guy when he played for the Ravens, but now I see why they liked him because he really is a cool freaking guy. So anyway, he goes, but I can certainly see why they would give it to DeMar Hamlin since he died on the field, kind of a thing. It's like, but how many plays did he play? Like 111 plays. I got up there and play anyway. It was just, he was very like, whatever, it's just, you want to give me an award. That's kind of cool. But it was a really cool moment. But he's sitting back on his couch again, kind of chilling, going, hey, if they want to bring me back, I'll come back. Maybe, whatever. It's just, he has nothing to prove, Wow. He was what he was. So, what a fun season. Actually, one other thing I just want to bring up, and I know you're trying to get out of here, but how about the fact that they moved that second game a little later in the day to like that 6 whatever o'clock start, whatever it was? That honestly was awesome.
Somebody spamming the program here.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, look, they're fans, and this is the way they do it. And I'm laughing at you because you can't do anything. You're just sitting in a chat room, and you can't touch this. You know something? My Jewish nose pisses you off, and you want to know? It makes me feel like I want to go out and make more money. Thank you.
Well, I'm going to leave y'all with fat equals mass times lack of acceleration. So that's my.
All right, everybody, we're out of here. Thanks a lot for supporting the programming and thanks for a very entertaining weekend for the NFL. We'll be back again on Friday on the next installment of Moohead Radio. And until next time, hasta la vista, pasture heads. Good night.